Hey guys, it's Paul and Rey with the No Color Thick Skin podcast. I hope you guys are excited as we are to be back in the studio recording episode 10.
10.
Man.
Wow.
Can you believe it?
Wow. Double digits, man.
Man.
That's a pretty nice accomplishment, right?
10 episodes, yeah.
A little mini milestone. Yeah, I'll take it.
I feel like we made it.
Yeah. Looks like we made it.
We made it.
Look how far we've come, Paulie, babe. All right. I'm sorry.
That's good.
I'm sorry.
That's we're really feeling the love, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And today's episode, we are so excited to talk to you about it. We're going to be talking about school, education, and all the things in between. We've got family members that are teachers. We got people that we know personally that are teachers. We've taught, some things.
Yeah, a little bit.
I guess you could say.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have kids that are in the educational system, and we went through public education.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like
products of public school.
Yeah. I feel like we got the success angle going on.
I feel like it, man. I'm very proud of you, man, and
I'm proud of you too,
all of your
bro.
accomplishments.
But anyway, so we always start off the episode with talking about how we're doing, how our week was. Ray, how was your week?
Man, I've had a pretty good week. I told you, man. I was struggling with some cramps, for a couple of days, just being on my feet, working, and just moving a lot. And I wasn't getting the proper water I needed, so I bumped my electrolytes up and started getting some more water in me. And magnesium has really been helping as well. So that's what's been great, man. So that's been pretty good. I do know. I kind of wanted to, give a little insight on, the work and when we deal with like high profile cases and things like that, because,
I hadn't thought about that.
When we get, like high profile cases, let's say if it's like a young person that, passed away from someone, taking them, from their family, you get a lot of police activity and their involvement. So it can be real tough, and maneuvering through that and making sure you're giving everything to this family, but also knowing that, hey man, there's an open investigation going on.
Right.
So you want to, even though we're not heavily involved in that portion, but we always want to just make sure we're on the up and up at all points and times. And then also even when a member of the community, someone, let's say either a firefighter or a police officer or even politicians or whatever, those are some pretty high alert cases, man. We want to make sure that we're on the up and up in those. So we've had a few cases the past week or so, and man, I'm really glad to be a part of the team that I'm on, because the attention to detail has been really, really great, and
that's awesome.
The people and the families have been really happy. So I mean, that's what it's all about. So that's been a great part of my week.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. What about you?
Oh man, me. Actually, I had a little bit of health concerns come up, and that was not very fun. But the good news is I have a great doctor and a very responsive doctor, and he did, all the right things, and we're good to go now.
That's good.
So
that's good.
But I'm mid 30s, and it's weird how your body just finds like the exact spot to just be like, oh yeah, and now you have this, and it's like, oh, okay, all right. I guess that's just life goes on. You keep going and keep moving. And, thank God for for competent doctors and stuff like that. Yeah. Because, they get stuff thrown at them all the time, just curveballs all the time probably. And, you never know what you're going to get, with somebody. So
for sure.
Anyways, but everything else is good. Busy at work. Kids are good. Wife is good, busy at work. And summertime now, so we're just
Oh,
trying
man.
to keep the kids as busy as possible.
Why do they eat so much? I just don't understand. It's every time you turn around, it's just I don't know,
Boredom.
just eating everything.
Boredom,
man.
and they've
Yeah.
got hollow legs and stuff. So
Goodness, man, yeah, it's so much,
Jeez.
but it's so much. But they're great. I mean, you have some great kids, and I love to see how much they love to be around you. That's a great thing, and I love my babies so much. And I mean, we talked on to each other, on Father's Day, and we talked a little bit back and forth, man. So yes, it's great, man. Just to be able to be a dad and to be active in our kids' lives, man. So I know I don't take it for granted. I know he doesn't take it for granted. I'm not speaking for you.
No, I agree.
We don't take those things for granted. So
and happy Father's Day. That was this past Sunday, and let's see. That's pretty much all of my week. As far as that stuff goes. So guys, we're going to be talking about the school system and how we educate our population. And but before we get into that, we wanted to kind of go through some of these relevant topics that have just kind of been, unfortunately, kind of wrapping up. I don't know of a more sensitive way to put that.
Yeah, wrapping up, coming to a conclusion. There are a lot of different things. That have happened, and there's the Travis Rudolph case where I mean you all should know exactly what happened. He was in a relationship with a young lady, and there was a altercation that happened. She was upset with he was speaking with another young lady, and I don't know the extent of that relationship that he had with her, but she got upset and she called her brother and some of his friends went to Travis' home. They got into a fight, a scuffle here. They get into a car. He states that he sees a gun, shoots in self-defense, and someone gets shot, and then someone gets killed. He's on trial, and the text messages start to come out, and the young lady who was making the accusations, she stretched the truth. I don't want to call her, that, but she stretched the truth, and it was not everything that she stated happened. There were some video recordings on the Ring camera, and there was a credible witness who was a neighbor who saw a lot of it, and it was just a tough situation. But he was found not guilty, and and I'm gonna approach this very, very lightly, because I want to be respectful on all sides, because that's just who we are, right? But there has to be some accountability on all sides when it comes to situations like this, because if this man was at a point in his life to where his life was going to be taken away from him, and he was going to be in jail for forever, based off of what this young lady stated, there has to be some repercussions on her end for jumpstarting this whole thing. This whole thing happened because of you, because of things you stated. She even stated on the stand when they were speaking with her in court that, I did this because my emotions just got the best of me, and I sometimes I just say stuff, and I'll make up things, because of my emotions. Yeah, that's not good. That's not.
She
good.
said that.
Yeah.
For
in court.
real? Wow.
In court. So, I don't know how you feel about the, because like I said, there's a coin. There's two sides to the coin for sure, because, you want to make sure that women are safe. I don't want anything to happen to women. I want women to be safe, comfortable, respected at all times. I really, really do. Yeah. But I think if we can, be, just transparent here, like all women aren't great women, just like all men aren't great men. Like we can come to a understanding that there
Is that
are just
okay to say? I think that's okay to say, right?
There are some just bad women out there in the world, like some women who just want to cause conflict. Like there are just some of those out there, and it will cloud the whole believe all women thing that happened a few years ago. I just think we can listen to everyone and believe the facts, but when you get to a point to where you are the reason why someone has passed away, you have to have some accountability.
Got to, and Travis Rudolph should be able to retaliate with a countersuit, or it may not even technically be a countersuit. It just could be him suing her for the loss of his career or whatever, because he was out of football, like
a young guy, in the NFL.
But I got to ask you, just so as a black man, does this give you more or less confidence in our or is it the same in our judicial system, in your opinion?
Ooh, you said, does this give me more confidence? Yeah, it's going to be a lot more. There are a lot of things that need to happen before I guess I can say I feel comfortable with the judicial system at the moment. Because we just see so many things just happen, and a lot of things that are just disproportionate, and I'm not there yet. And
gotcha. I would ask that because he wasn't found guilty,
mm-hmm.
and they did find that this girl, on the girl's side, they couldn't find enough evidence to show that he had willful intent to murder somebody, which is what the charge is for.
Mm-hmm.
He shot somebody out of self-defense, which is what his defense was.
Yes. Yeah. I think it started as like stand your ground, but then they said he couldn't do that, and then it was So they figured out how. And like I said, I'm not an attorney. I'm sorry, but so they came up with the defense to find out that he was not guilty, and backtrack, get those ring cameras, get those credible witnesses, get her phone records and things, and those help. So those are things that help. So
something that kind of made my faith in the judicial system waver a tad. They always say, well, just have faith in the judicial system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy that's like, oh, yeah, I'll just go with whatever you guys say. Because I've been messed over before by
yes, you have.
Stuff in law stuff in the past. And it's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
So when Travis's defense attorney was like, hey, the prosecution side anyway, like the people that were working for the police department gathering evidence didn't even go look for extra stray bullet or rounds. They didn't look for an extra gun. They're like, oh yeah, the person probably tossed it. It's like, what? Like, you didn't look on top of it. You didn't look behind the house. You didn't look. If you follow the case at all, it's like, oh my gosh, he's right, and he's pissed at the prosecution side. He's like, what? I guess it was the investigator.
Mm-hmm.
The investigator. He's like, this investigator needs to be fired.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, if she still has a job after this, I'd be really surprised because she did a terrible job.
Probably not. So.
But anyways, that's,
that was one that was just. Like I said, it's like you don't know exactly how far to take it, because there are instances to where, yes, man, I know that there are women who've been hurt and who have been taken advantage of. And, let's say that the person who was the perpetrator, that gentleman, has a little more money, who can afford a nicer attorney. And that attorney knows other attorneys, who knows other judges, and who knows how to get into these things, and they can make that thing go more in his favor. And I don't want that to hurt that person who, or have them not even come and speak out, because they're afraid that, no one will believe them, and then they'll have to serve time or whatever it is if they're found that that didn't happen the way that they stated. So it's tough, man. It's just tough, and I don't know which way to go.
So about
with
the same?
Yeah.
About the same, how you feel?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's tough, but
I feel about the same,
Mhm.
you know. But I mean, I've always felt the same about the judicial system. I think it's each and every case a little bit different. And in this case, I mean, I've seen people be, you know, questionable, and I've seen them not be questionable. Anyway, but then there's the other thing of the guys in the submarine.
oh my goodness, man! You talking about the billionaires being billionaires?
Yeah,
you know?
are they
My
actually
goodness.
billionaire? Were they?
So I know there was one that for sure was a billionaire, but I'm pretty sure they all were of a affluent background because it was I think it was $250,000 to get on this minivan of a voyage of. I don't want to laugh. I'm sorry. They got on this.
Oh, that is bad, isn't it?
They got on that, but it's like it's like stupid is stupid does. Like okay, like we don't want to make fun of the fact that people lost their lives or anything, but you know, crazy just gonna be crazy. Like that just makes no sense to, you know, put these gentlemen in this small submarine thinking that you're going to make it all the way down there with. Did you see the controller that they were using to get down there? I think it was like a knockoff Xbox.
Just so y'all know, I have not seen any of this stuff.
It's like a knockoff Xbox controller, man. It was pretty bad. And
wow.
Yeah, so their goal was to go down, look at the Titanic, and see this, see it in all of its wonder. And they lost signal, and you know the company wasn't able to find them. And they were like, "Hey, they only have 90 hours, I believe, of oxygen down there." And once it went over that time, the company put out a press release and saying that they're lost. And then I believe they found some debris from the submarine in a certain area that they thought they may have been. And I believe just all the pressure just being so far down and just
yikes.
Yeah, that just wasn't. Yeah, I don't think that was a nice one. So
I've always been afraid of going that deep and underwater. I've been in a submarine before, and it is no joke. Like I've been in an actual naval, you know, submarine. I don't know if that's a delineation or not, but you know, for the Navy.
I mean, you could have been in a submarine for the cartel. You know, the cartel.
Yeah, could have done that.
I mean, possibly. You know, we can't. I'm not going to say what you can or can't do.
Yeah.
Paul, you're Paul. You know,
I'm Paul.
So
just so y'all know.
Yeah. So yeah, being in just going in.
Have you been in one?
But I have not, man. I don't.
Dude, claustrophobic is what it is.
Yeah.
And a small submarine is so bad. It's like
terrible.
A bubble.
Yeah.
It feels like you're in a bubble. And most of the small ones are like mostly glass in like the observation side.
I'm sorry.
Man. Yeah.
But you know, I always I'll speak with people and I'll say, hey, you know, we have everybody speaking about, you know, what's going on in outer space, and you know, where's this here and that there, and we've put cameras here and cameras there. Hey man, I'm sure it's some freaky stuff going down in the deep dark water.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is all kind of craziness going on down there. And y'all want to talk about really needing to know what's. Listen, I mean, y'all want to talk about aliens and y'all do all that stuff. Hey man, teach his own, do all that, but I'm afraid of what's in that water.
Megalodon.
I'm afraid of what's in that. What is it? Octopi? Is it octopi? Is octopi? Octopus?
Multiple
octopus?
Yeah.
All the octopies out there, just everywhere, you know, like. I can't deal with it. Yeah, I can't deal with it. And then, you know, then I hear today what Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg trying to fight or do something weird. Just billionaires being billionaires. But I guess so. But that's just, I think that's more of a ploy. But I did have just one thing to tie you up with the submarine deal. So, you know, we, you know, thoughts and prayers and, you know, condolences, you know, to the family. We're not trying to make light of, you know, you losing, you know, family members or anything, but, you know, one thing, just, you know, conspiracy Ray, you know, just trying to have this conspiracy theory Ray. Do people still fake their own deaths, Paul? Is that a thing?
Oh,
Do people still fake their own deaths?
what?
Like, is that even a thing still? Because, I mean, it would be kind of on par to say, hey, we're just going to get in this minivan, go all the way down in the waters.
Oh,
and
my
then all of a
gosh.
sudden, nobody can find us and we don't know anything and just gone and, just start a whole new life in Idaho somewhere. I don't know, like, what the deal could be. But, what, like, people.
Oh, my gosh.
Do people still fake their own deaths?
You
Like,
know
is
what
that
I was just
something that
thinking about?
Could be.
I was just thinking about, like, why, you know how they have, like a, what do you call it? Home base or whatever. I forget what it's called, but it's like a base station at like Mount Everest, you go to this base station, then you go up to the top, but it's like a bunch of hiking to get up to the base station or whatever.
Yeah.
It seems like you would have something like that down at the bottom of the ocean,
Just like a place of,
cool. We, this is the most dangerous spot where we go from here down to here, and then we click onto this dill, and then we're at the bottom. Okay, cool. Now we're good. We got plenty of oxygen and all that stuff. Is that not a thing?
Listen, that sounds very smart.
Seems like it would be a
sounds
thing.
like that would be something, Paul. It does, but I guess it's. I guess
maybe that's a thing, Ray.
Maybe it is. So I don't know.
Holy mackerel.
Hey, man, because the billionaire's stepson, I think he went to Blink-182 concert and was out there partying it up while his stepdad was lost in the waters, and he stated that his family would want him to be at the Blink-182 concert because that was something that would be therapeutic for him. And I believe he also replied to a young lady who has a fans-only account.
I love that.
So he's a wild boy. All right, so I think he's getting the help he needs right now. But yeah, that's different. Your stepdad, it's just out. Probably not gonna ever be found. You just was Blink-182. All the small
didn't blink
things.
an eye. 182. Yeah. Wow.
And just like that, folks, we're gonna put a bow on that one.
Yep.
Wow.
So, guys, that is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
I wish I had that much money to throw out on an experience. I guess maybe it's wow. Anyway, okay, guys. So we're going to talk a little bit about education, and I think it would be really good for us to talk about it. Talk about the things that really kind of made a difference for us, maybe for our kids and things like that. One thing I'd really like to talk about, this show is kind of like a perspective show, like an opinion show or whatnot.
Yeah.
And it really, I feel like, because we come from a little bit different backgrounds, you're black, I'm white. We grew up in semi-different cultures and things like that, although we kind of both grew up in the South. It's cool to see how things are similar and how different and kind of where we meet in the middle. And so one of those things is what some people would call lack of equity in the school system. And I thought when thinking about how my school experience was growing up, I saw all different kinds of people in my school. And I would say the majority of the kids in my schools were up until, when I was young, it was a pretty mixed crowd. I wouldn't have been able to recognize, what kids mostly were until I moved to Abilene, and that was mostly white kids, white and Mexican kids, a few black kids in there, and such, and then we moved to Flower Mound, and that was kind of more of the same, I guess. I think so, but it seemed like there were more cultures, or, different races, represented in Flower Mound than there was in West Texas. Go figure. But from what I gather, there's a whole bunch of places where it's like mostly, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like mostly black people, and there's like maybe a few white people, and a few other races there. I never got that, but I have friends that grew up in like in Alabama and Georgia, and those kind of southeastern
states.
So that's just been my experience.
So when you speak on like the difference of everyone, you're speaking of just the student body.
Yeah, just looking like who I saw. Yeah, students wise.
Yeah, student body, just the students, just people who your classmates and things like that. So for sure, and I would say that because I was in Louisville, you're in Flower Mound, so kind of pretty much hand in hand there. Louisville has a higher Hispanic.
There were way more black people at Louisville.
Yeah, but Hispanic and black more at Louisville than in Flower Mound for sure. But it was still, and like I said, it was a mix versus a couple of my friends who lived in South Dallas who it was pretty much all predominantly black. Maybe some Hispanics here, not as many white. They probably went to a different school. Where I was from, back in Louisiana. You knew that these schools were, with the black students, they pretty much went to these schools. There were a couple of schools that you had a mix, and it's just I think it's just been like that way, and it's still that way, still right now. Yeah. So
it's interesting.
It is, man.
It seems like there's always, and I don't know that this is necessarily unhealthy, but there's always been people that look the same, that congregate together, and they like splash together like oil and water, but they don't always mix like you think they would, regardless of the situation, But I mean, that's just how it seems to me,
With what? What way?
For example, well, like it's just kind of the same thing, and this is just because we're on the topic of large amounts of people that everybody sees. It's in the public, and it just happens that I didn't even think about it until just now, but there were a substantial amount of more black people that go to Louisville High School than go to Marcus or Flower Mound.
Yeah.
And for some reason, there were more black people that I noticed that went to Flower Mound than went to Marcus. That was weird. But these schools are all divided by area, and so we're talking about equity. That's just where my mind went first. Was what kind of kids was I seeing? What do they look like me? Do they look like somebody else? Because that's who's represented in that school.
Yes. Yeah.
It's, I don't know.
So I'll say I wanted to let you cook because I could see it. Yeah, I can see it spinning in your head to where how you wanted to articulate it, because I think when you're looking at the different, especially here, like the 3 different schools, like in the independent school district that we went to, you have to add those, socioeconomic factors as well. So let's say if, and like I said, like this has nothing to do with, my brothers and sisters in South Dallas and my friends and people who are out, in other areas. I'm just speaking of primarily where we are right now.
Right.
If, I know an attorney who is doing well for himself, started from the bottom, did great, has a successful practice, and is married, the wife is doing well, they have children, they are probably going to live in Flower Mound area because of the homes that are there that they are able to live in and be a part of. And so if they live in this area, that means that their children are going to attend that school.
Yep.
So if it's about the equity of, hey, these people have a little more, they're going to go to this area because they like this luxury of XYZ, then their children will go here, just as much as how it would be like in Dallas, you have Highland Park area. So if a certain person wants to live in a certain area, they're probably not going to live in the DeSoto, DISD, although they're beautiful homes in DeSoto, don't get me wrong or whatever. They're not going to live in like in that portion of Dallas. They'll live in the Highland Park area. So they'll be there because that's where they want to be, and those are the things that they like. So when you have a place like a Louisville, who I believe from my sources, they stated that they have the highest English is their second language children. Like I think it's really really high.
Area,
in the DFW area,
wow.
and maybe even a little further than that. I'm not going to say like in the state, but a little in the region. Like they are really really high. So if you have English as a second language, if you're having people who there are kids who just coming from Mexico or wherever they're coming from, they haven't spoken English. They're going directly to like one of the Louisville feeder schools versus going to one of the Flower Mound feeder schools. I'm not going to put I'm not going to put any juju or say why or how that happens, but that's something that my sources tell me that they see a lot of. So I think, like you say, when it comes to who it is that you see, I think like we said, like you're a product of your environment. What it is that you all have and what your parents do. If the cost of living is more feasible for them to be here and have just a little bit of luxury versus, hey, they can afford all these things here, then they'll go to that school.
Well, I remember, I definitely remember. So I wasn't a part of the conversation when I was a kid of like, what school, because we moved from Abilene to Flower Mound, and that was a tough transition. But I had no idea that LISD school district was one of the best. Yeah, I had no clue. But it is, and so when I was actually a real estate agent, and that's one of the things that people really do consider when they're looking at buying a home is like, okay, so here's the price, here's the square footage, this is how many bathrooms and bedrooms and blah, 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 and it's fenced and da-da-da-da. Also, this is the school district that this house is zoned for. And you get to see all the elementaries that they can go to, the middle schools, junior highs, and high school that they'll eventually wind up at.
And you'll see what their ratings have been over the years. You can sell them on, hey, your children are going to get a quality education and sell all that. Yeah, that's big for you. That was big for you, I'm sure.
Right. Oh, yeah, and it is. Yeah. And people definitely pay more for the nicer area, for the safer area, for the better school district and all that stuff. I know this happens a lot when people, so there's this weird thing. We're talking about education, so this kind of goes into it. Area, like location. When you're looking for a house, most people want to get away from the busy traffic, right? So they're wanting to go just far out of the city enough to not have to be around all the crazy traffic, but they do want to be close enough to where they can go to the shopping center or go to the grocery store, and they're not having to spend more than 30 minutes on the road getting there. And so there's this weird dichotomy of like moving far out enough to be there, but not have to, and you're close enough to things. And so, and that also kind of brings money to school districts in that way.
Absolutely.
So the more people that live there, and the more affluent the neighborhoods and the people, if you have a really expensive house, more than likely that person's going to be paying a lot more in taxes to go toward funding your school. And so that's just a byproduct of how that happens. And anyway, I just think it's interesting that as you're out there looking for a place to live, you're also deciding by default what school your kids are going to.
Absolutely.
And, I can't afford house prices in Flower Mound. I can't, or especially back when I was looking for one, I definitely couldn't.
Yeah.
And so, so I was looking at Louisville, I was looking at Denton, I was looking at Corinth, and then I wound up, finding a city out there. And it's not exactly what I wanted, but it's way closer in price and way better in school district and things like that. And when it comes to this, like I said, it wasn't something that I thought of when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
but what I did see was all the people that, all the kids that the parents had to make that conscious decision
Absolutely.
of, and they've been making that decision for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting when we're talking about equity. Equity can mean different things, but how I think of it is like, equity is like ownership. What kind of skin in the game do you have?
Mm-hmm.
Or what kind of power do you have over the school district, or what kind of pool does your community have, or something like that. That's the kind of thing that we have to, consider. And so, that's just what I think of that. But, as we get into it, that's where I'm at.
And I'll say, when you say equity in, like the schools and like the system, when you first started, you talked about, like who you saw as like students, like who were there, who these children are, what their backgrounds are, and having people in like those leadership positions who may understand them a little better. And, I think that would be something that's of equity that needs to be addressed as well. I had a mixture of teachers, black teachers and white teachers when I was in school, like in elementary school. And we were a predominantly black elementary school back home. And, it was a culture shock, as I said, going from, an all black student body to pretty much coming here. And it was like a 75, 80, almost 80% Caucasian student body. And just trying to navigate those waters and get an understanding of, all of that stuff. It was real different, man. All right. It was real different. I really didn't know about passive aggressiveness and all that stuff. And, because I can't be passive aggressive. I'm more of aggressive kind of a guy. So
Aggressive?
I'm aggressive.
Double aggressive?
Passive. Yeah. So it took me a little while to understand, that type of thing. But that equity, like I do understand as far as the students and, what that equity means, like in home and where, the child there will be going, and like also in like that leadership position as well. Having some equity all around, I think, is something that needs to be addressed, not forced. Like I'm not that, hey, you got to have, 6 of this or 6 of that, but just being mindful of those things,
So, it kind of goes into like representation and, that's interesting. I've always been interested in like, different districts, school boards.
Yeah.
That's always interested me. Like, who are these people? And cause, oh my gosh, it just pays in like, we're talking about schools, definitely don't want any inappropriate books in my kids' elementary school, although there are many, and not in mine, but I'm just saying, like, there are many schools where parents are finding, when you hear news stories and they're like, parents go crazy at school board meeting and blah, blah, blah. It's like, parents, oh, okay, it makes it sound like it's not like one of us, You know what I mean? It's like me. I don't think of myself as like a parent all the time, but I am a parent. And it's like, oh, crap. Like that could have been me finding that book because my kid's like, hey, Dad, what is this?
Yeah, what is this?
And it's like, oh, crap. Well, you probably could have gone a good 10 years without seeing that. You know,
So-
maybe more, maybe less.
Okay,
You know,
so if we're looking at, you know, how that book got into, I don't even want to say like the curriculum, but let me cook for
Yeah.
a bit. How that book got into that school or
Yeah.
in that deal. It's, you know, we have this public school system, and what we can break it down. You know, you have the public schools, you have the charter schools, you have the private schools. And, you know, in the public schools, the public school is fully funded by the government.
Yeah.
The government, you know, the states. I'll say the states. The
Right.
Department of Education and works with the states, and each state has their, you know, governing things that they have to abide by with these schools, and the schools have to do X, Y, Z to get this funding, and there are all these stipulations and things that they have to do, and testing wise, and make certain grades and scores on all these things to get this funding. And then also, like we said earlier, you know, it also plays a factor in, you know, where these schools are built, what type of taxes that are being represented in that area will be going to a lot of these schools. So that's one thing. Then you have these charter schools that are, you know, they're open to the public, and like, you know, you can go to these schools, but these schools aren't necessarily ran by the government. You know, they have their own, you know, rules and regulations that they have. They get funding, but they don't have to adhere to all of the things that the public schools have to, which is kind of, I don't know about that gray area. It's
Yeah.
kind of weird. Then you have, you know, your private institutions where your private schools, your you know, the big schools out in Highland Park and, you know, in Dallas area, and then you have your you know, your religious based schools like your Catholic schools and things of that nature.
Right.
And they have their own board, and they have pretty much like endowments or whatever, and they get the donations and the monies of the family, and, you know, hey, XYZ granddaddy, you know, put 20 mil in here, so we're gonna name the library or the school
Yeah,
or this, you know,
the
out of
gym
the
or,
gyms,
auditorium, yeah.
we're gonna, you know, put this in honor of, you know, XYZ family. So, yeah, and you just see across the board, it's like, my goodness, man, like you see all these, you know, private schools getting all these great things and seeing all these wonderful places and trips and going places, and even the charter schools are taking trips, and, you know, you see these kids in these public schools, and it's just like, my goodness, man, like they just get the tough end of everything. And that's not just the students itself, that's the teachers as well. And that's just terrible, man. It's terrible to see what the state makes these public schools have to jump through all these hoops and do all these things. And they're even trying to take money away from them now. That bill did fail. It just fell recently, but it's just so much that
Which one
that
was
we
it?
see. It was a bill that they're trying to like take money from the public schools and like give it to the charter schools and the private schools, I believe is kind of how it was worded. So yeah, it was just like taking
Was that
money
a
from
Texas
the poor.
bill?
Yeah. So, and they're still going to try to work it to do something. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but
see.
I know a little bit about kind of just what's going on, and it's just tough because, like I said, these schools are struggling already, and yeah, it's like we have to figure out a way to get these public schools to be better for these kids. Yeah.
So how would you make them better?
It's tough, man, because you see a system where, you know, I give the teachers in my family a hard time sometimes because
They have summers off.
you know, so it's like I say, hey man, you get summers
get a
off.
real
I
job.
say, hey, you got summers off. You got every weekend off.
Oh,
You got
man.
every single holiday and all the made up holidays that they just made up, and then winter
Yeah.
break, and then
Yeah.
y'all get a break to go to the state fair. Like y'all just
Oh, and then
hold
if
on.
it didn't
if
snow,
y'all
then
didn't
you can
snow,
take
then
more
you got the
days?
snow. Hold on, wait a minute, what is going on? And here I am. I'm 37 days straight. You know, I may get 2 hours of sleep this night, maybe none. I may be going 3 or 4 days straight. Haven't seen a beach in 12 years. And it's like, and I'm not trying to, say that I'm better or I work more or that you're less than, but it's like I'll give him a
But
hard
he is.
time. But you weren't supposed to say that.
So the quiet part out loud. Okay.
So I give him a hard time with that. But I also know that, you know, these teachers are not being compensated the way that they need to be compensated for sure. And you can't sit here and tell me that we in the United States, especially here in Texas, with so much money that's generated here, we can't give these teachers just a little bit more. And if we end up giving the teachers more, we'll start to see the teachers being able to, you know, take care of themselves, take care of their families. They're able to come to school and give everything to their kids, that they're scholars, that they're the students that they're working with. So if we could give more to them, I think that could trickle down and make the school system a little bit better. And then you're seeing also where it's just not many people going into the education field now because they see that it's just not paying off. You know, back in the day, you know, to be a teacher was something of wonder. It was great. Like to say you were a teacher.
Yeah, it's like
in the
you're making a
community.
sacrifice.
Oh man, like you were.
Well, they
people
weren't
loved
paid
you.
very well then.
They were not, but the aura of being a teacher, you know, was great. And also with these student loans, also, I know that that's a tough thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, 20, 30% of your check is going towards student loans, and you can barely, you know, keep a roof over your head and feed your children. And now you have to worry
That
about
is
other
something
people's
too,
children as
isn't it?
well. So it's like, it's just so,
Yeah.
it's so much. But it's all encompassing to where it's like, hey man, like, yes, things are good, but there's so much that we can do, I feel, for these teachers and just help them out a little bit. I give them a hard time all the time, yes. But like I said,
do hate
there's
their guts,
more.
but-
No. But there's more that we can give to them. And there's no reason that, a new teacher coming, in to teach, and this is a fact, a new teacher that will come in to teach next year will probably be on the same pay as a teacher who's been teaching for like 7, 8, 9 years. That shouldn't be. If this teacher has put that time in,
interesting.
like, give these people raises. Take care of the, what's the health care? Like what, I mean, they're paying a lot in health care. Help them with the health care. That helps a lot. So yeah, I just think that there's just some things that can be done just to supplement, to help these teachers. And I feel like if we help the teachers, if we're giving more, then more people will go into education, which means that we're getting better people, more qualified teachers. And if we're getting more qualified teachers, then they're, teaching these children. And, I think it's all a full circle, I think.
Okay. So your idea is teachers, like pay the teachers better. It'll come around full circle.
At least give them, some type of an incentive. Like, don't let me, if
so that's
I've been
to
working,
attract
Paul,
more people, keep the good ones around.
keep the good, because they're leaving. The good ones are leaving, man.
So do you feel like they're leaving because of pay specifically, or do you think that there's other factors?
Oh, it's a lot of other factors. It's a lot, Paul. You look
Because I see a lot of unruly kids.
Okay, okay. Look at you, Paul. Okay. You opened that. That's what. Yeah. That's where I was going. You see these videos of, kids like walking up to teachers,
Dude.
slapping teachers, punching teachers, throwing teachers here, throwing teachers there, cursing teachers out. What is going? Are y'all serious? Like, that's crazy.
Can I say something? And this is going to sound really crazy
Racist.
for me to
I'm sorry.
say. Yeah, it's going to sound racist, but I hear a lot of jokes thrown at white people about how we always talk back to our parents and that black kids are afraid of their parents. But I see a whole bunch of unruly black kids and a whole bunch of well-mannered white kids. Is that a thing? Is that a thing?
Listen.
But it's only what's on camera.
It's only okay. That's what we see for sure. It's a lot of what we see.
I've met plenty of people but when we talk about what I see on the news.
Yes, 100%, 100%. You will see that more. And then when it comes to like what you said of what is done in the house versus what's being done out in public, I think you see more of the black kids that are in like in those school settings, and their phone is being taken away from them, and they don't have the, they don't have the the resources mentally to just understand, like, hey, this is just a phone, like, calm down, relax, you'll get it at the end of class.
Yeah.
They take it as a form of disrespect. And I'll tell you, I struggle with that a lot. When I felt like I was disrespected, even to this day, I have to check myself. But when I view things as something that is a form of disrespect, and you just disrespected me, that's that aggressiveness that I have to bring down. And I have the tools now to know that, hey, okay, calm down. Let's go about this a different way. And, let's be a little more diplomatic, or let's just take our little consequence that we have here and just get better and learn from it, versus this individual who does not have those resources. They act out in a way in which they see either the people in their environment act out, or they act out in just the way that they just naturally just, hey, this is my first instinct, I'm just going to jump, so I'm just jumping. So, I know we always joke about, white kids and talking crazy to the parents and doing all this and that. We see all the jokes. Little Johnny over here cursing out his mom, and then if I say something, my mom gonna pull a knife out on me and chase me down the street with a knife, which she did one time.
No, she didn't.
Pull a whole knife on me, and she tried to stab me. It's a wild woman, but that's neither here nor there. Allegedly, we'll say allegedly.
Allegedly,
that's time.
She
allegedly. She did, but
we'll cut that out. We'll cut that out.
Keep it in. She knows she did. But we see the behavioral things with a lot of the students just not being able to be checked in those settings, because you'll look at those videos and it's 30, 40 kids in one room. Like how do you have 30 kids in one room?
I thought it was like okay. So
I'm saying like 30. So like a teacher, is in this class and you're supposed to teach these kids, and it's like you got 30 kids in this class for 50 minutes to an hour and a half, just depending on like the block schedule of what they're in.
Right.
These kids been, eating Laffy Taffies and Dum Dums and drinking Dr. Pepper, and they
barely awake too,
geeked up, just just sugar highed up, and just you trying to tell them
0
to sit down.
0 to 100. Yeah, I can't imagine.
And then it's like you can't be soft in front of your friends, so it's like now you got to put this whole I'm tough, I got to be this person, I got to be that type of person. So that's a lot.
So when I was a kid, I had a problem with authority. But I wasn't aggressive. It was more like I just didn't like people telling me what to do. And so if I really didn't respect you, I didn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not so sure it was something I thought about. It was just something that happened. And later on in life, I was diagnosed with ADD. So if you do a little bit of research on what the brain does when you got ADD or ADHD, we really don't like being told what to do. Mm-mm. It's like, okay, now I can't do it because you told me to do it.
Ain't no way.
It's so weird. It's so weird how that works. But anyways,
you could be getting up to go and do set thing right in the middle of it. And if someone says, hey, go do this, you will turn around and I'm not doing it.
Now, if they ask me to do it, with respect.
With respect. Yeah.
Oh, man. It's almost like it turbocharged my ability to do that thing. Mm-hmm. But if they told me to do it or pointed out how I did something wrong and now I have to go do that, or, I get a punishment if I didn't go do the thing or whatever, mm-hmm. Then it was like that task was suddenly impossible. Anyway, so we're talking about unruly kids. Mm-hmm. I had problems. I had a real problem with learning. I wanted to be like normal kids, but I had like I said, ADD or whatever. I had a bit of a learning disability, mm-hmm. but I always had respect for my teachers, and I don't feel like many of my, you had your good teachers and your less good teachers and your respectful teachers and your less respectful teachers. But I don't feel like I ever had, maybe a couple of times I had a teacher that, did something they shouldn't have done, like said something mean or, something like that to a kid. But it never got to like some of the level of the things that I've seen on the internet and stuff like that. That being said, maybe it is part of the culture, maybe it is part of the thing. And as we go on, time goes on, it seems like kids now are starting to push back a lot more. All the kids, my kids are like, they all know how to operate tablets and iPhones and things. And, when I tell them not to do something, they say, why? And it's not like an automatic, okay, why? No, it's not like acknowledging that what I said goes and why comes later. It's like, okay. It's more like, why do I need to stop doing this as they're doing it? With no stopping, not caring that you are a father, you're a dad, you are providing all this. No, tell me a reason why. There is no assumption that I'm smarter than them anymore.
No,
and that is kind of scary. And when a kid establishes that their authority figure is not smarter than them or doesn't know more than them anymore, that is where we get a break. In my opinion, that's where we get a breakdown in society. This is kind of getting off track, but this is still talking about schools. Because as kids get more and more access to the internet and having everything at their fingertips, they can call their teachers bluff. They can call which is a good and a bad thing, in some cases, mostly good, probably. But at the same time, like, it should make teachers better. It should make teachers better and want to like be more accurate on things that they're doing. But I think, unfortunately, what's happening is the kids are just like, well, Google knows more than you, and now I'm going to just totally shut off, and there's no reason for school anymore. And so I don't see that, right now with my kids, but I could see it happening in the future where, kids are like, well, you guys don't really know more than Google, so I'm just going to go, And then the kid is suddenly very disrespectful to the teacher.
Okay, so now let's talk about this then. So what is the responsibility of education in the home as far as, learning, yes, but, honor, ethics, holding accountability and, molding, parenting actually. So parenting your children at home so that they can use these things that you instilled in them here in your home to take with them as they're out in public. Because you'll say, how much does a parent have to do when it comes to education? How much of a voice do they have when it comes to the education of what their children are learning at the school versus what you're teaching them in home? And it's like, okay, well, if this is a public school, then the government says that this is the standard curriculum that this school has to follow. You can either follow this or not follow this. Okay, well, in our home, do you have the conversation of, hey, this is what's going on at the school. I need you to graduate. At the end of the day, I just need you to graduate and get from here, and then we can work on a plan to, wherever we want this to go. You know, so it's like, what is the parent involvement in all of this? Like, how much should the household be involved when it comes to homework? Do kids need to have homework? Is homework something that has to be given to kids to have them do more and have parents assisting them with homework at home, or can the teacher do all of the teaching that needs to be done in the classroom, and then when we get home we can focus more on these family ties, these family. Hold on, is the boy spitting right now? Hey, is the boy spitting right now?
Oh my gosh, you're dropping bombs, dude.
I'm just saying, I'm getting chills because it's flowing, because I'm saying, because I don't like busy work. I don't like busy work. So it's like when I would get homework, I'd be like, okay,
I hated homework so bad.
It's like, why are we doing this? Like,
yes.
we can work on spelling in the class. Like, we can all do this work here. If you want me to do this workbook, I'll do the workbook here. Why do I have to do a little bit here and then just take all this home? And now I can't hang out and do this with my family and do these things. So it's like, all right, what are we doing here? What are the sides that we're looking at this? Because you have a lot of these parents, man, I'll be out here working, and I know a lot of other parents, mothers, fathers, who work 2-3 jobs, just to try to get themselves into a better life. And it's like, hey man, they can't do this. Or maybe, and I'm not trying to be funny, but maybe that parent isn't as educated and they don't understand. Yeah. So you're just running this child into here in that home with this parent who doesn't necessarily understand and may be embarrassed. And I'm just looking at all these things from a lot of different sides. And it's like, if we can focus on, hey, get the schooling at the school, let the home thing be the morals and the ethics and the building and doing those things versus that school work and busy work stuff, I think that could be something that could be helpful, possibly.
Man,
I don't know. Like I said,
I'm sure that every teacher is like, yeah, we would love to get everything covered in our little itty bitty class. Short amount of time that we have for our classroom, and then, the kid would just retain it. But I'm sure that there's some sort of, what do you call it? Balance.
Yes.
I guess would be another word for what I was trying to say. And a balance between, here's the first time you learn this, and then here's the second time you learn this, and then now you just go on your own. Okay, now you get it, and now we move on, and we continue. But I wonder if there's so many like new things that some kids, they just really can't keep up if they only learn it once. So they've got to learn it multiple times.
So now that reverts back all the way to the beginning, and it's like, okay, so what are we doing with these children at these early stages of development? Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe high school students right now are reading at a 3rd or 4th grade level. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
That high school students are reading at a 4th grade, I'm going to give them 4th grade, are reading at a 4th grade level. How is this even making sense? How can a student be in high school reading at a 4th grade level? Well, because they didn't get the proper resources. They didn't get the understanding. They said that he took a test and special needs when the kid learns different. Like, they want to put, a label on every kid, and every kid has this. No, maybe the kid just learns differently. Maybe we need to figure out what works best for this child. Yeah. How it works best for them. And like I said, it's just so much to talk about when it comes to, these kids just not getting that education, I guess, and at that foundation. And they're just, I guess, just going through the standardized testing and just going through the this and the that. And it's just the cookie cutter. And now they're in high school and they can barely read. And it's like, man, that's terrible.
Well, I think there was this this dogma of kids going into like the special class, and I remember
content mastering, and
is that what they called it?
CM, you're going to the CM class.
Yeah. Well, so some of the school when I was young, some of the schools that I went to, they had a class where they had people there that had they were mentally challenged, or whatever the polite way to say that is. And
so saying the full R word?
Yes, hard R.
Hard R, okay.
Yeah. And that was the class that you had to go to if you were in, if you had special needs to learn.
Learn development.
And it was like, I don't want to ride the short bus. I just don't understand what my math teacher's talking about when she says trigonometry, or algebra, or solve for X, or whatever. And so, you didn't want to go to that class.
Not
so
at
you
all.
would fake it till you made it.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
But now it seems like they're, at least in LISD, and maybe we could talk to some of the people over at LISD. By the way, guys, we will eventually start bringing on guests, and we're very excited to do that. We definitely have the setup to do it.
Oh yeah.
And we've got very willing participants. So we may just start that very soon. But anyway, but I know LSD had a thing where, it was more separate. Like, you learn slower, but you're not, full on, like, not going to be able to
they have
work on your own type
more of a
thing.
spectrum type of a deal.
Yeah,
There's a spectrum of like, hey, like you have like dyslexia, or learning development going into Down syndrome and hard this and all. So it's like it's you can't just lump them all for sure, but you should be able to pinpoint some of those things. Yeah.
Well, and also I think some of the teachers were afraid that if you got me as a young kid got sent to this special class, that I'd get stuck in whatever level they're on, and maybe that was the fear. And so we did whatever we could, like I said, I had a learning disability and my teachers couldn't figure it out for the life of them. And so it was very frustrating to my teachers, and, God love them. I was very frustrated with them too. So the feeling was mutual. And so, there's that. But I knew I wasn't dumb. I knew I could pick things up super easily that I was interested in. But if I wasn't interested in it, they're like talking about, English, which is so funny because I'm so particular about it now. But like grammar and things like that, like they... it wouldn't get into my head. Teacher says, even today, if somebody said, hey, I want you to write a 1,200 word essay over this, and this, I'm like, okay, how do we do paragraphs again? We start with this, and it's just like, it becomes an impossible task after a little bit. Things have changed over the years. I've learned how I learn better and things like that. But getting it back into, this thing of like creating a place where, kids are more apt to learn, and almost be like not just challenged, but also encouraged and excited. Make them encourage them to be excited about learning.
Yeah.
That is something I really want to see.
I think that's something which is good that the STEM schools are doing. So those science, technology,
STEM,
and all that, where they getting the kids not just to do the standard curriculum, but they also have additional things that they can do. My son attends one, and he loves like the robotics and the code and things and all that stuff. And
so cool.
Nerd alert.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I push him. I say, hey man, like I love that you love this stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. He'll come home and he'll just start spouting off stuff, and I'll just sit there like a deer in the headlights. But I'm gonna hype my kid up.
Heck
That's what
yeah.
I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hype my boy up and tell him that he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. So,
Yep.
so those STEM schools, and I think they've even branched into. So you got STEM, and then STEAM, I guess, because I guess it's STEAM because they add the A into it, and I guess it's more trying to focus more on like the arts as well.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I think those are all good because, you could have a genius, let's say you have a genius, piano player like in your class, someone who can, learn the piano and who's just amazing, but this individual just does not understand sentences and, will bring this individual down and make them feel less than, and they can't even embrace the talent that they have because they feel bad about what it is that they're lacking. And that's the only thing that they get recognized for is what it is that they're lacking in.
Yeah.
So that could be tough.
That is interesting. Yeah. Well, as far as all of this kind of stuff goes, there's all different kinds of what plays into it, and more than like we've already been talking about this one subject for over an hour, and there's so much more to get to.
A lot, man.
I mean, I knew that we'd run up against some kind of time hurdle with this one because it's so much to talk about.
It's a lot.
As we usually do here in doing our episodes, I always try to make sure that I make the point that I'm trying to make. Was there something that you wanted to?
No, I'm following you, man. Like you had some really great things to hit on. Like I said, like I really just want to see how the teachers can be elevated to where we're getting some of the best teachers in these school districts and, helping these kids. And I think that is a great starting point to start to see some of the things that the kids are struggling with, because these teachers are able to take care of themselves, take care of their families, and, have a better relationship with the kids that they're working with versus stressing over a lot of different things. I mean, you even see them having to buy supplies and things like that. They shouldn't have to do those things,
So I wonder what my wonder is with that in particular is like if we could, these types of things I always try to like run through if then type of situation. So if we did give the teachers more money, what would that mean? Well, we'd have to figure out how to fund more money. Mm-hmm. And where is that money going to come from? Well, it's got to come from the taxpayers. Okay, well, where are the taxpayers getting the money? Or what taxpayers are we getting this money from? Yeah. And we're getting it from this area? Okay, cool. So is there more? And if there is more, how do we get that? Okay, if there's not more, then what do we do then?
Legalize marijuana in the state of Texas. That's what you do.
Legalize marijuana.
That's what you end up doing. Yeah.
Okay. I think we're probably due for that.
So, I'm sorry to hard left, but if we're looking for money and we know that there's money that's out there, then there are ways that we can do it and get away from the stigma of things that we. That held us back,
So you think that selling marijuana in the state of Texas will single-handedly change the way our school system is funded?
Man, it'll help big time.
I don't know.
I mean that, and I know we're going on a little tangent here, but how many people do you know travel up 35, travel up 75, going up to Oklahoma to sit in front of a slot machine for XYZ amount of time?
Oh yeah,
all over Texas, driving up there, lots and lots.
And they do the same for the
lots
grain.
And lots, and gonna get on 20 head to Shreveport to sit in front of a slot and spend all that money out there. That's money that is being put into that state.
Yep.
So if we had that money to put into our state, and those people were not going to those states, and they were spending that money here, that's more money that's coming to the state, which means, hey, now we have more money and we can do things with it. But I'm a dum-dum. I need y'all to know this is I am Officer Doofy, And I'm not sure if that's something that, could work or not. But
well, we in the state of Texas, we get a decent amount of money to our schools from the lottery, from the Texas Lottery Commission.
Big time.
And so that's good. But the rest comes from taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought it was interesting, like the doing the what is that called? Where it's basically a system that Florida Governor DeSantis wants to put into place, or maybe he already did, where any kid can go to any school that they want. It's a voucher system.
Yeah, vouchers. Yeah.
And I don't know if that works or not. It
doesn't.
Okay, does it?
I have sources.
Yeah.
Sources that a lot of those voucher systems are rigged.
It seems like it wouldn't work, and the reason why maybe is because so if I made all this money and I decided to go to the best school in the district, and somebody else doesn't do as well, they don't work as hard, they don't, they want to work at Pizza Hut for the rest of their life, cool. And then they have kids, and they want to send their kids to some school, but they can't live in my city because they can't afford the housing. Okay. But now they want their kids to go to my school that I pay oodles of money for. Is that fair?
Well, I mean, let's break that down. No, I agree. So let's break that down. If you're saying that this person is in this city, this nicer school is in this city, what are the odds that this individual here is going to be able to make it to this school, to and fro from, the tough situation that they're in right now? And I'm not saying because I don't think they'll be running like a school bus. Like the school bus will be going all over everywhere just to make sure they're getting all of the kids. Right. I'm sure that would be something that each individual household would have to make sure that kid is getting there. Yeah. So what you're gonna put your fourth grade child on the public bus, like the city bus to go from all the way over here, or the trains and go from all the way over there to here. I'm not sure how that will work, but I could see if we're in like the same city in, let's say X school they have, 15-year-old books, the plumbing system isn't all that great. The field is subpar. They don't have enough band equipment here, but then, school A over here, the field is amazing. The lunchroom is awesome. They got all the band equipment. They have everything over here. And it's like, hey man, like we live in the same city. Like this school should be on par with this school. So why isn't it that these schools aren't either upgraded or given the same resources? Like it should not be there. Like have the because if the point is, hey, this is a government funded school. Uh-huh. The government funds these schools, then fund these schools accordingly to where the experience that the students, the faculty, the staff, it should all be at the same. If it's a government provided money that's coming from the government for these schools.
What's interesting that's just talking about this. Okay. Wow.
Did that make am I kind of off with that or?
No. Okay. But kind of. I don't know.
Talk to me.
Okay. So this is what I'm thinking is that, okay. So I don't know that it could ever be fair like that. Now that I said the word fair, because there's always going to be an older school, and in communities where the population is always growing, I don't know that you ever really catch up, because you're always going to be adding a new school for the new area, and you're not going to be up. Okay, so this same exact thing happened in LISD. So Louisville High School was this giant high school. It was brand new, however many years ago, like 50 years ago, maybe more, 60, 50?
Yeah, probably more.
Pretty old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Louisville High School was like the first high school up here, up north, that was giant, And it was just kind of like a megalith up here, like way above Dallas, right? And hang on just one second. Let me check something real fast.
Louisville.
Look at this fly, dude. I'm trying to, dude, if that was on there, I am gonna kill every fly in my house. I don't care how long it takes me. Why would it go right there?
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
Holy crap. Okay, what was I saying?
Louisville being the big school that was built, the big new school back in the day.
So back in the day, Louisville High School was this giant school. Anyways, and that was back when Louisville and Flower Mound, all these little bitty cities around Louisville, like Flower Mound, like Double Oak, like Argyle, like these were really out in the middle of nowhere, country little cities. And so Flower Mound just starts developing, and they incorporated, and they wanted to build a school out there, and they called it Marcus, Edward S. Marcus High School. And I guess I don't know exactly the history of it, but I think somebody gave them seed money to build, a new high school out there. And so Marcus was this bright and shining, brand new high school out there. And then Louisville was this giant, even bigger high school. And they had multiple campuses, and they had lots and lots of kids, lots and lots of supplies and all this stuff. And Marcus had some very affluent, families funding the school. But it was still smaller. They had some new, they got a new stadium and all this stuff. But when I ended up going to Marcus, everything was much older, right? It was nice, but it was just much older. And so when I was going to Marcus, they built Flower Mound High School. And oh my gosh, Flower Mound got all the nice stuff. It was beautiful. It got like they had in this giant indoor field, practice field or whatever. And they had stuff that dropped down from the ceiling so you could do, different sports in there. And they had all new like softball fields, baseball fields, football stadium, gorgeous football stadium. And that was something that Louisville High School had, was a giant, football stadium. And why everybody loved to go there, because it was huge, huge stadium. And then so we were all jealous of Flower Mound being so nice. And we're all, mind you, we're all under the same school district. So talking about, we're not exactly in the same city, but we're all close enough to go to each other's schools probably.
Oh yeah.
And so with Louisville High School, though, they had multiple campuses, but a lot of their campuses were older. Maybe not. They had like a ninth grade.
The freshman conference.
Freshman campus.
Louisville North.
And then there's Louisville North, and then there's like the Louisville main campus, and finally Louisville main campus got this huge whatever you call it, makeover, renovation, and it just looked gorgeous, And I remember I actually went to summer school at Louisville High School one year, and I failed a class. And so I went to Louisville to do the summer school, and I was just like, holy mackerel, this place is giant. I got lost a couple of times trying to make it to class, but I could tell it was older. It was older than Marcus, my old school. And so but after they did the renovations, oh my gosh, I just couldn't believe it. It was just like I almost couldn't recognize the school.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're talking about how different, schools are funded. My where I live, we had to us as citizens of the city had to approve, a certain amount of us had to approve or vote for a loan, or basically to pay extra on our taxes in order to build a new high school. Like we had to get it approved. And instead of them just saying, "Yep, your taxes are way more." Now later on, people that move here, they'll have to just pay higher taxes.
Yeah, because that's what it is.
Right. But a certain amount of us, I want to say like 80% or 70%. It's probably 80% though. 80% have to say yes. And we did, and we
proposition this, that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So, but anyways, it just as you're talking about it, and as I'm talking about it, even is like, okay, if we are constantly having to build new schools, then every old school would also have to do renovations, and that would just make the town broke. I mean, it was literally, I don't even know if you could do that, because it's literally millions of dollars agreeing to that.
Okay, so for me, and I guess let me take the stance of the aesthetics. I'm not even too much worried about. It's not the aesthetics on me. What it is for me is that, in some of these classes, like I said, they're books that are 15 years old. They still have the same books from 15 years ago that are worn, that are written in, that are not in good shape. The desks are terrible. The sewer system in some of the schools. I'm gonna tell you, you walk in some of them and it's like, what in tarnations? Because the sewer system is bad, and it's like, what do y'all have to do to get in here to fix this and just put some money towards this school? Whereas if you go 3 miles that way, and you see the school with a fountain in front of it, and people just in this amazing area, and it's like, oh my goodness! So 3 miles this way, you got this greatness, and 3 miles over here, it smells like somebody is farting in the fan.
I get what you're saying.
Like at the front door. That's what meets you at the front door. What is going on here? Like, that shouldn't be. So, like I said, I'll take aesthetics aside. Okay, like, yeah, you don't have to have the latest and greatest of all the gadgets right in the front and all of the lights and all of these things. Okay, yeah, if you just have the regular brick, yeah, we're gonna rock with this brick. But what's going on on the inside is what I'm more concerned of.
Yeah,
like those things that, if the curriculum is this, like, make sure that the curriculum is this. If you're serving, if it's lunchtime and these kids only can get 2 options, but there's a whole cafeteria over here, like, that's a little despairing, like, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how can you fix it to where, okay, maybe these kids can't afford everything that they can get over here at this school, but there should be some additional options to give them a feel that it's not like, hey, you have to eat, chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes and just whatever it is that they serve. You can have some options.
That's interesting.
I'm just trying, like I said, trying to look
that.
at these things just from a totality, not just, hey, you got the new 20, 40, $60 million, stadium, and you have, all the latest and greatest of this, and your basketball floor, your court is, the brand new. No, I'm just talking about just those everyday things that are just going on, like, in the school to make those things better.
I know with lower income schools, there's ways that you can take in money from businesses that want to sponsor just different things. But I don't know. I mean, and also there's people that have, I don't know.
It's a lot.
I don't have all the answers.
Yeah, I was going to say, we don't have the answers.
But talking about it, I feel like hopefully you guys kind of think through it, or maybe you've already been thinking about this and just kind of confirming, like, oh yeah, this is for sure something that we need to talk about, because it is. Like, there's so many more topics we can run on, but we're definitely running low on time. So as far as things that I absolutely wanted to get on the books here, something that is really important to me personally is that I want to make sure that the teachers that are teaching my kids are talking to my kids about things that are going to grow their brains, and I want them to stick to that, and not to things about stuff that, in my opinion, shouldn't really be involved with them yet, like, sexuality and things like, what kids barely know what they want to do for a career when they grow up. They probably don't, in my opinion, they probably don't know what, their favorite color is going to be for the rest of their life. They don't know a lot of things. They're not allowed to do a lot of things that will change their life for the rest of their life. I don't believe that they should be able to make life-changing decisions, especially on their own as their kids. And in the state of California now, they are doing gender-affirming care through the school system, and they're setting up, in the worst case scenario, I guess is however you want to call that, the kid can be taken away from the parents, and they will be given, gender-affirming care, and I don't. That's. I know that there are a lot of parents out there that really don't have their kids' best interest at heart. And it's probably a shocking amount of parents. Okay, but I would say the majority of parents care enough about their kids that they know not to let them make life-changing decisions before they're adults. And I personally will not be one of those people that does that. I have kids. I know that they have feelings. I know that they have emotions, and maybe even some of them are trying to figure out what they like, what their preferences are, and what does kissing a boy feel like, or kissing a girl feel like, or whatever. But that's normal. What's not normal is making life-changing decisions based off of those feelings right now.
That's
my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I see exactly where you're coming from with that. And I think, just to piggyback on what you're saying, is, if we get to a point to where, hey guys, like, at this place, we are to get educated on these things, so it's like, as I said, like,
what are we doing
can't
here?
Even, it's like, we can't even, we have these students who are, pro this, pro that, let's speak this, let's speak that. Hey man, do your thing. Like, congratulations. Like,
right.
Whatever is good for you, man. I want everybody to be happy, healthy, successful, have a wonderful life. But in this place here, reading, writing, arithmetic, like, we need to do history, like, we need to do, like I said, math. These are just the common core things, the basics of education, I feel, is what the teachers should be teaching kids. Like, it's not about your feelings. Like, your feelings are a teacher's feelings, or even the student's feelings. They're not what is supposed to be here. You take your feelings and your social things and the things that you are either struggling with or you need more information on, you go to your base, which should be your family. So if that's either your mom, your dad, your grandma, your uncle, your cousin, whoever those people are who are part of your tribe, who are part of your team, who should be there for you for those things, you all work those things out. I'm not saying that you can't be who you want to be, or you can't, you all can't, live the life that you want to live. Live the whatever life that you want to live. If other people want to live a different life of what you want to live, and they don't see those things that you see, that's fine as well. But when we are together in this place at this government-funded school, here at this government-funded school, I need you as a teacher to look at the syllabus and say, hey, Today, we're learning about the Civil War. And you need to talk to these kids about the Civil War, what happened during the Civil War, what was going on. We are learning ancient Roman history. You need to teach ancient Roman history. Like this is the curriculum. Just teach the curriculum. Be the best teacher that you can be. Teach these students just the curriculum. Like I don't understand like why we have the back and forth with how things have to be or who is included in this. Just be the best teacher that you can be. Pour into these kids, this so that they can be educated. Like that's what you're there for, to give education. Yes, you are there to champion them and encourage them and give them pour into them for sure. Yes, that is a part of it. But at the core, you are there to educate. That's what the focus of all this should be, I feel.
Get kids excited to learn. And I know it's not the same for every kid.
Excited to learn.
Yeah.
Look how that's profound. Just get kids excited to learn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and curriculum wise, we kind of all, as parents, we all agree that, okay, we probably didn't look at all the different curriculum stuff, like what all's included, we don't know what the books are going to look like. The teachers don't even know what the books are going to look like.
Yeah.
But that's the stuff that you're going to be teaching through. That's the stuff that, in my opinion, y'all need to stick to.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some extra bits that you can add on there. Hey, you know what? I went to college and I have this degree and I specifically learned about this moment in history. And what I learned was X, Y, and Z. And that's what my PhD is in. And still I'm here teaching you guys this. Isn't that crazy and awesome, but not like, in my opinion, like, my name is this, and these are my pronouns that attribute my sexuality. That's where it's an overstep, in my opinion. It's like,
just be Miss Johnson.
You're supposed to be Miss Johnson or Mr. Johnson or
Johnson,
Teacher Johnson or whatever you'd like it to be. I don't really care, honestly. But when you start dictating, and this is apparently very common in schools now, is kids demanding to have their pronouns used and things like that. And it's like, it's a hard thing for the teachers. It's also a hard thing for kids, and it's so what you're demanding now is for us to change what is currently being taught in our schools and use your language now. Is that right? Is that what we should be affirming to our kids? Is that y'all can just change how we use language? I don't know. I don't know if that's the right choice. Maybe I need to think on it more, but I'm a very respectful person.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Ray is. We're very nice people when we want to be. And
don't let that aggressiveness come out.
Yeah. But we like being nice people.
For sure.
We really like going above and beyond.
That's what we lead with.
Yeah,
for sure. In all situations. That's what we try to. For sure.
Yeah, and the thing is, regardless of our intentions, you're going to have something that you want, and we're just not going to be able to fulfill that for you. And I apologize in advance to that. But I don't want this to land on a bad note. I don't want this episode to land on a bad note. Just know that for all of you out there that do want to start using pronouns in these ways and stuff like that, all power to you. I want that to be your choice. I want you to have your choice on how you want to use language and things like that. But I'm going to keep telling my kids, in my opinion, the right way of using pronouns. And if somebody gets offended or something like that, they're going to apologize like any good human being would, nice human being would. and they're going to say, I'm so sorry, I don't understand how you mean, but maybe I'll just call you by your name, Jamie. Maybe, let's do that. That's a respectful thing to do,
easy.
right?
Yeah, very respectful, very easy. Very, very easy. But like, this is something I've echoed a few times. And I've said to you, Paul, there has to be grace on both sides. You can't just demand people to change what it is about them. And people can't just demand people to accept what it is about this. Like, that's just not how these things work in the world. There has to be a medium. So, there are people who are not as nice as Paul and I. There are people who will call you out of your name and who will,
and that's the real
talk
world,
bad to you, and who will go up to like a school and speak ill about a teacher whom they may not be comfortable with, and may demand certain things to happen to those individuals. We're not those type of people. That is not what we stand for. We don't want that at all. The only thing that we're saying is that if, like we say, to give respect, you get it, you give it, you see things from other people's point of view. And if there's just a moment that there's some disagreement, there's just a disagreement. We don't see things from the same way, but let's find a place to where, hey, this is what it is that you are looking for. Let me respect you. You respect me. And we can keep it at that. Yeah. At the end of the day, just be respectful. At the end of the day, what it is about your feelings, those things aren't even a part of what we need to be discussing right now. It should be the facts and the education.
Right.
Your feelings shouldn't come into there.
My dogs are extremely hungry. So, guys, thank you so much
they're looking at all this dark meat, and it looks like... I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
They're so docile. It's so funny. They wouldn't even be a good guard dog. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking with us here on this one. Like I said, there's so many topics that we could cover. This one is just either we're probably gonna have to come back to it because there's so much.
Sure,
there's so much.
For sure.
But thank you guys so much for sticking with us. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. This is Paul and Rey with No Color Thick Skin Podcast. We'll see you in the next one, guys.
Peace.